friends, this is Sylvie Curry, Lady of Q. And once again, I'm in my kitchen and we're still into this lockdown thing. This virus has got us in a frenzy, so stay at home and what do? Cook. Today I'm going to be making some empanadas. And in my freezer I found some frozen vacuum sealed bags of seasoned pork. And so I already have that seasoned, and I'll show you that later on, and I'll try to go through what I think I put in it because I did it about 6-7 months ago. And the other thing I have is some empanada dough that I'm going to be making. And I'm using just a basic recipe that I found on the internet, and we'll see how this goes. Let's make some empanadas, okay? This recipe for empanada dough only calls for 5 basic ingredients. I've got a 1/2 cup of water, cold water, 3 cups of flour, 1 egg, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 6 ounces or 1½ cubes of butter. My butter was in the freezer, so it is very, very cold, and as I mentioned, the water's cold. We're going to start off by adding our flour to our food processor. I'm going to add 3 cups of the flour to the food processor, and I have the dough blade in here. My next addition is going to be my 6 ounces of very cold cubed butter. And as I mentioned before, this is 6 ounces or 1½ cubes. Now that the butter's added to the flour, we're going to pulse this to get the butter incorporated in the flour. The next thing I'm going to add is the salt. And we'll pulse that again just to get that salt in there. And the last 2 items I'm going to add are my egg and the water. And I'm not going to add all the water at one time. I'll add about 1/4 cup to start. And it looks like I'm going to need more to get that going. So we'll add the last 1/4 cup. And we're good. We want it to form into like a soft ball. We're then going to take our dough and turn it out onto the counter. A little bit more cautious than that. Sylvie's making a mess here, you see. What we're going to do is form this dough into a ball. Once we have our dough into a ball, we're going to take it and cut it in half to form 2 balls. And we'll sort of shape these into flattened disc. Once we have that dough in a flattened disc, I'm going to take it and wrap it in some plastic wrap. We're going to put this in the refrigerator and let it chill for about a half an hour to an hour. And when we come back, we'll start filling these discs with our filling. A few months ago, I made some ground pork filling for lettuce wraps, and that was for a party that we had, and of course I made way too much. I have ground pork that is from pork butt and from some of the rib meat that I usually use in competition. The actual amounts that I have in here, I could not tell you, but I'll tell you that I know that I have in here some celery, onion, garlic, some chopped up porcini mushrooms. I've got soy sauce, hoisin sauce. I've got mirin, sesame oil, and that was all mixed up, and we're going to use that for our empanada filling. The dough has been in the refrigerator for about an hour and a half, and I'm now going to take it out and roll it out. Got my rolling pin here, put some flour on it. Try to get it rolled fairly thin. I've got my empanada dough out of the refrigerator. It was in there for about an hour and a half, and now it's time to roll it out. Got some flour here to put on the surface. Try to keep it from sticking. And we'll begin the rolling. Trying to get that fairly flat and thin. And then to make my empanadas, I have a cutter, and what happens is I press down to make the circle, and then once I get ready to fill, I'll put the dough here on top, put the filling in, and then turn this over, press kind of hard, and I'll have my empanada made. So let's start making the rounds. And sometimes that doesn't always go all the way through, so I'll just take a little knife and go around there to release it. Okay. Let's continue doing the others. I know I'll have to go around and do this a couple of times. Go through and we'll finish doing the rest of this dough and come back and fill these babies, okay? Put a little bit of flour around the edges of that mold, and that's going to help prevent it from
sticking. Then what I also do is I'm going to just take my rolling pin and roll it out a little bit more because it tends to shrink a little bit while it was resting. And we'll put that dough in the mold. Take the ice cream scooper, scoop out the amount of meat that we want to fill this empanada with. And then we'll take the mold and we press it together, trying to make sure that it's got a good compression. Then sometimes I like to just go through and cut off the excess dough that's around the mold. Then we'll pull the mold apart. And I find that putting flour around that mold there actually makes it come out easier. If the edges don't look cute as you want them to, just take some scissors and do a little cutting. I finished rolling and filling my empanadas, and now we're going to take some egg wash. This is just one beaten egg, white and the yolk, and we're going to go through and we're going to paint the top of the empanadas so that when they finish cooking they'll be a more golden brown. I'm going to put these in a 325 degree convection oven, and they should cook for, well, probably no more than 15 to 20 minutes, keeping in mind that that meat inside is already done. This dough recipe actually came out very nice. I like the feel of it. And I've got 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I've got 14 empanadas that I was able to make from that dough recipe. How do you eat these? There are a couple of ways you can eat these once they're done. You can make a dipping sauce, and that could be anything from a simple mayo with some sriracha in it to just plain old hot sauce, or you can just eat them by themselves. Okay, I finished doing that process, and also note that I have it cooking on parchment paper, and that's just to keep it from sticking to the pan. And I'm going to go over here and put it in the oven. I just took the empanadas out of the stove. They cooked for about 22 minutes. I didn't want to push them to get more golden because they were already flaky and they look done and they smell wonderful. I'm happy with the way they look. Let's get a close-up. I call this cooking during the COVID-19 stay-at-home lockdown. Cooking from the freezer. This was some pork that I previously cooked and seasoned. And I made the dough today and just decided to make empanadas. I call this soul fusion cooking, okay? I'm going to enjoy these.